I'd like to respect the community members, the 10 that we have with us on the call, and now move to the community public comment section. And if you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand so Ted can move you into the room.
Hi, Lyle. You should be able to speak.
My name is Lyle Quasim. I represent the Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective. I also represent myself as being a person who lives in Pierce County and spends a lot of time in the city of Tacoma. I represent what I believe is the requirement for the Tacoma Police Department to live up to its motto, and that is to protect and serve. And I don't believe that the ability to protect and serve can be accomplished adequately without civilian oversight of the police department. I also believe that representatives from the community should be a part of the labor negotiations that develop a position on police oversight. I also believe that the lack of an effective police oversight has occurred for one of two reasons. This is my opinion, that either people participating in one or more parts of the process are incompetent or indifferent. And I would believe that serious people would have negotiated overestimating the work of the community police advisory was insufficiency to move that subject to bargain, and that there were things that were bargained that were less important than the issues related to police oversight. And so that may be a case for indifference. The fact that the police, the last contract that was signed, was done at a Tacoma City Council meeting, and I'll come to my conclusion because I know there are others who want to speak. The last contract was signed, was done, and there was a City Council public council meeting, and it was signed at that same City Council meeting, approximately an hour and 20 or 30 minutes after it was signed. 4 City Council members expressed what can only be taken by a person not on the City Council, but a resident of this community listening to the people of the City Council, could only be taken as a lack of confidence in the Tacoma Police Department. Now, given that was the mood of the persons who spoke, and their words are indelible and can be pulled up and read, and a reasonable person can come to their own conclusion. The conclusion I came to was the one I just stated, that for that to have been approved by the City Council shows to me that there was some significant level of indifference. When, and my last statement is about the competency of the process. I think we end up sending people who are not as equipped to participate in the process of bargaining as the people who are engaged in the bargain. And when we have two persons who have that ability to do that, and those persons are asked to resign, they're not given an option not to resign from the committee. I will go back to Alan McKenzie's statement that they wouldn't need a predicate to threaten another unfair labor practice about anything. If that is the defining statement, that when things are not going the way that they want to go from the other side of the bargaining table, that they threaten the unfair labor practice. I think that it was a poor administrative decision, and that management has given up significant rights when they made the decision to remove Adrian Jones and Alan McKenzie from the bargaining process. And now we may end up with individuals that don't have their level of expertise to participate in the process. Those are my comments.
I see Sally Perkins and Mike Roberts with hands raised.
Thank you. I want to protest in the strongest possible terms the disrespect that has been directed at CPAC by the police union and the city council. The city council did indeed roll over on this one, as they have been known to do. And while I am dismayed, I am not surprised. The city council has not had any functional oversight or control over the Tacoma Police Department since 1991. 34 years of no functional control, because it was in 1991 that the police collective bargaining agreement was given by the city council primacy over both the city charter and any council ordinance. 34 years. So an 18-month delay doesn't feel like a big delay. It feels like a worry, but not a delay. So my recommendation is, one, restore Adrian and Alan to the bargaining process. It was a mistake. Resign. It was disrespectful. It was stupid. Secondly, take the union to court if they want to file an unfair labor practice, and remove the threat of an unfair labor practice as a union tool to stop any meaningful civilian oversight over the Tacoma Police Department. Thank you very much.
Adrian, I know you know everything I'm about to say. However, this is not an NLRB case. It's not a National Labor Relations Board case. It's a Washington State case. It will go to PERC, not the NLRB. And it's not a legitimate ULP. There are 4 broad strokes in Washington labor law that include interfering with an employee while they're trying to organize or bargain, trying to control a bargaining representative, discriminating against an employee for exercising rights under the collective bargaining agreement, and refusing to collectively bargain with an employer or union over wages, hours, or working conditions. There is no grounds for a ULP here, and PERC tries to clear ULPs within 30 days. I don't see a universe in which the police union can file a ULP with PERC without it being thrown out in probably 35 days. And there's also no universe in which this takes 18 months. It can take a few, but it's going to get thrown out before it gets that far.
Good evening, Carol Mitchell. I am the executive director of the Institute for Black Justice. Somewhat like Mike, I have an extensive background in labor management and human resources. I spent 6 years boxing with Lewis Cooper and the ILWU at the Port of Tacoma. I've had stints with the city of Tacoma in my past life, as well as Pierce County. And I agree with Mike's maybe it was a legal interpretation, maybe not, but his view that there's really no basis for an unfair labor practice claim. And I also agree that it's a PERT case. So we're in alignment there, Mike. I am not offering to step in or stand in for the CPAC. I do agree with Sally Perkins that the two members of your committee who have been chosen to represent CPAC should be restored to that role. And one option, if the union or the city is worried about confidentiality or any other sort of privacy in labor negotiations that might be at issue, you could all certainly sign an agreement to hold those negotiations private and not speak on them until they're final. So there are ways to work around a concern about privacy in those negotiations. I also agree with Sally, and it's unfortunate that the city gave up a great deal of its own power over decision-making concerning its police force when it decided that the police contract was much more important and had priority over even its own ordinances. So that's unfortunate. And I think that's something I sort of stand on the side of the issue with Sally. If you're going to litigate something, litigate that. Get that language out of the bargaining agreement, and it'll open up all sorts of possibility for oversight, accountability, and more community involvement in how we police in the city of Tacoma. Thank you for the time.